Hello and welcome to another episode of the DVD Graveyard. Today I wanted to do something just a little bit different, so I hope you don't mind looking at my Frankenstein monster blanket here. It's been a while since I've made an actual video, so I didn't really know what to do as a backdrop. This is what I used to do, so we're just going to roll with it. But I wanted to talk about something today that's always been really kind of special to me and something that I love, and that is DVD box sets. And I love Blu-ray box sets as well and everything else, but it's just, I guess, because I grew up not really being able to get a lot of box sets. Like when I first started collecting, it was something that I always wanted. And so now, of course, now that I'm grown and I have a job and I have my own money and I have more money to spend on my my hobby, I can actually go back and pick up a lot of these box sets that I've wanted for years. But some of the ones that I have had forever, and some of my favorite ones of all time are like this one, the Alien Quadrilogy. This, of course, is the I've talked about this in my Alien review. This is kind of the slim pack of it. It's got loads of special features. Everything is on its own disc, which I really like. So that is a really good box set. This is one I've had for a very long time. That's one I highly recommend. Of course, there is a big box set of that. Another one of my favorites that I wanted for years that I was finally able to pick up just, I think, in the past 2 years or so is the Friday the 13th from Crystal Lake to Manhattan. And, of course, this has got, 2 films on each disc. It is all the Paramount films, so the box sets come in all different kind of shapes and sizes and what have you. But this is a really good one if you're a Friday the 13th fan. I highly recommend this. That box set there. I got that really cheap. Probably my favorite type of box sets are like this Amityville Horror Collection, which I actually surprisingly got this for 99 cents on eBay. I won a really cheap bid, but I love these, including Blu-ray boxes that are like this, where you get your own, the individual films have their own cases. I love looking at the cover art. I love that to death. There's Amityville 3D, and then of course you get a bonus disc in there. So I really like stuff like this. That's kind of my preferred variation of box sets. Another one that I have here that I picked up, just in the past couple of years that I really wanted is the Zombie Pack. This is Volume 1, where you get Zombie 3, Zombie 4. Sorry. Zombie 4, After Death, and then Zombie 5, The Killing Birds, which these don't really have anything to do with Lucio Fulci's Zombie, except for like Zombie 3 kind of does. There is a Volume 2 to this, which I also own, which has better movies on it, if I'm being completely honest, in my personal opinion. But this is a fun one that I had to have, especially if I have Volume 2. I've got to have Volume 1 as well. And then, of course, one of my prized possessions in my collection of DVD box sets is the Sleepaway Camp Survival Kit, where you get, the first 3 Sleepaway Camp films. Love this box set. Was one that I had always wanted, and I found a pretty decently priced copy. So I went ahead and picked one of these up just again in the past couple of years. So very glad to have this. Now, and of course, you have what set the standard of box sets, in my opinion, is the Nightmare on Elm Street collection. Everything is individually boxed. Everything looks really pretty and very uniform. This is a box set that I grew up having whenever I was a kid, or my parents had it, I should say. Not this specific one. I've rebought this within the past few years, but everything looks really nice and very uniform. All the cover art matches, and I love the artwork for the Nightmare on Elm Street films. They really kind of go together, and really look nice as a whole. So this is a really good box set as well. Probably one of my favorites, and I don't think that this one for Nightmare on Elm Street anyway has really been topped, in my personal opinion. Love this box set. If you can get that, I highly recommend it. But the box set I wanted to talk about today, specifically since it is St. Patrick's Day, so sorry if I'm kind of going off on a tangent, is another box set that I got just last year for like $13. Normally I see it for about 25, 20, 25, somewhere around in there. And I even think that is worth it, to be honest with you. But this is what I wanted forever, and that is the Leprechaun Pot of Gore collection. So instead of doing an actual review of the films, which I considered doing, but I just got done doing Friday the 13th, and my OCD will not let me just do one film in a franchise. It really bothers me. So I've gotten to the point where I've tried to at least do 2, and I just don't, I didn't have time to do it. So instead, I wanted to talk about this box set. So if you can, I recommend picking this up, and we will talk about the movies at some point. But for the longest time, I had this release right here, which is the 4-film collection. It's Leprechaun 1 through 4. I remember picking this up at Walmart super cheap, and I think you can actually still probably get this at a Walmart, to be honest with you, if you're lucky and you happen to come across one. If anybody's Walmart still sells DVDs, mine does. But I remember getting this years ago when our Walmart here in my town was still open 24 hours a day. A fun little story with this is I went in there, late at night, and I was very young. Like I think we snuck out of the house or something, and I went in there and I bought Leprechaun 1 through 4 because I just happened to see it in there, and I didn't have any of the Leprechaun films. This is when I was still early in collecting, and the lady at the counter actually wouldn't sell this to me. This was way before self-checkout and stuff like that, but the lady would not sell this to me. And so I was kind of bummed. So anyway, I left, and there was a guy who was behind me in line, and he bought this for me. He came outside, and he was like, "Here you go," and he went ahead and bought it. He told the lady that, they're just some harmless movies, and I tried to tell her that too, but of course I was just a kid. But he bought this for me, so I've hung on to this because it has that kind of special memory behind it. And if you have this, or you can find this, or you pick it up, I think it is a good little addition to own if you just want to pick if you just want to own them kind of casually, and you're not a huge Leprechaun fan, and you just kind of need to get them. That's a good little release. But if you can spare the extra cash, I highly recommend this box set right here because, of course, you get, the 5th film included in this as well. And it's a very nice looking box set. It's one that, like I said, I wanted this for a really long time, but I was just, it was either too expensive at the time when I was younger, or I just didn't find it anywhere. But I just happened to come across this on eBay one day while I was actually at work. I was supposed to be doing my job, but, I was browsing through eBay, and I came across this for like I said, I think $13 is what I paid for it after tax and everything. So it has a little minor kind of cut right there, I guess, where somebody was trying to open it and accidentally sliced it. Not too bad. I mean, it's not nothing that really bothers me too much, especially for the price I paid. But this is a great box set that's got all the individual releases with really nice looking cover art. I mean, that's of course the original kind of classic Leprechaun cover with Jennifer Aniston right there on the front of it. Yes, Jennifer Aniston, if you're not familiar with the franchise, she would go on to do great things in Hollywood and be very famous. But that's the first Leprechaun. Really fun movie. I can't wait to actually talk about this. But maybe we'll do that next year. We'll get there. But yeah, I remember seeing this movie a long time ago on TV. I remember my dad told me about it. And that's how I heard about it, is it was coming on Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. My dad was like, "Oh, Leprechaun." And me and my sister just watched it. And my God, we just fell in love with this movie. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, you get Leprechaun 2, and I don't really remember too much about this movie, to be completely honest with you. I've seen it a few times, but it's just, I don't know. I don't really have a vivid memory of what this one is even about, to tell you the truth. I plan on watching them, tonight, and then pick up the rest of them tomorrow, of course, to kind of refresh myself. But like I said, it's just been a really long time since I watched this. And of course, Warwick Davis does come back to reprise his role as the Leprechaun in this one. And then, of course, you would come across, a few years later, we would get Leprechaun 3. This one is a great time. I do remember this one. This one takes place in Las Vegas. I remember the first time I saw this, my dad had this recorded on a VHS tape, and I was dying to watch it because, like I said, we were big Leprechaun fans, me and my sister, when we were kids. And I was dying to watch this movie, and so he had it on a VHS tape, recorded off the TV, had commercials and everything. I wish I still had that VHS tape, but I remember watching it and just thinking it was the greatest sequel of all time. Again, I was really little. This was before I'd even started collecting the movies. I'd just seen them on TV and rented them probably, and everything else. But I remember this one was always hard for me to kind of get a hold of and see. But when I finally saw it, the TV cut, I loved it. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, this was a great time. It did basically what Jason Takes Manhattan should have done, and taken advantage of the fact that he is in Las Vegas. We'll talk about Jason Takes Manhattan when we get there. I do love that movie, but it has some flaws. We will talk about that eventually. And I've always loved the cover art of this one and this one. I've always really liked the cover of Leprechaun 2. I don't know, it just looks really cool. And I like this one with the Vegas Strip kind of in the background. Love this cover art. So Leprechaun 3 is a lot of fun. The most ridiculous one in the franchise, Leprechaun, I mean, they're all kind of ridiculous, but Leprechaun 4 In Space, no bones about it. It is literally just called In Space. I love that. That the camp is dialed up, the humor is dialed up. This has some horrifying CGI, and when I say that, I mean it's just fucking terrible. The CGI in this movie is so bad, but it's just it's really bad. I mean, PlayStation 1 I think actually looked better than this movie does in some scenes. Now, of course, the whole movie is not CGI, just kind of some of the spaceships and stuff like that from what I remember. Speaking of this movie, we actually Miguel A. Nunez is in this film, who we just talked about in Friday the 13th Part 5, and Caroline Williams is in this movie, which again, she is from Texas Chainsaw 2. So I remember seeing her in that and just I was like, oh, it's Stretch, whenever I was a kid, because I'd seen that at that age, whenever I was much too young to have watched that movie. But this is a fun movie too. I highly recommend this. This is probably the most just ridiculous one. All out. It's something else. I mean, I can't even really describe it. It's just. It's a good time. I recommend watching that one, even though, like I said, it's just plain silly. And then, of course, number 5 is Leprechaun in the Hood. This one is also really silly, but it's a fun time, and I really like it. Of course, the Leprechaun is back on Earth now, and this is not, even though it is Warwick Davis, this is not the same Leprechaun in each film. It is a different Leprechaun. I do remember that from the franchise, but this one was a lot of fun. I do remember, I remember enjoying this one from what I do recall. So that one's a good time as well. So all in all, these are really fun movies. I am missing Leprechaun Back to the Hood. That is the sequel to In the Hood. I need to pick that up as well, just so that my collection is complete. And of course, I am missing another one, which I will talk about in just a second. But I just wanted to kind of show these off one more time, because I've always really liked the cover art for Leprechaun. I don't know why. It's just been one that I've really liked a lot and enjoyed. And then, of course, several years later, we would get Leprechaun Origins, which I have never been able to actually finish this movie. I fall asleep every time I try to watch this. I picked this up for $2.95, and from what I recall, I did not like this movie. If you do like it, definitely let me know below. But I have never been able to finish it. It literally bores me so much that I fall asleep every time I watch it. I know eventually I am going to have to just sit down and watch this, because I would like to talk about it on this channel here once I go over the full series. But of course, this changes the lore entirely. Warwick Davis does not come back for this movie, so that right there is just kind of a bummer in and of itself. But if you do like this movie, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just tell me why you like it. So if there is anybody that enjoys this movie, please leave a comment and let me know what you do like about this, and and maybe I'll give it a second chance if someone has a compelling argument. And then, of course, just a few years ago, we got Leprechaun Returns, which I think I've seen one time, but I don't really remember much about it at all. I couldn't tell you a thing about it. From what I remember, it's almost kind of plays out like a remake of the first Leprechaun, if I remember correctly. I think it's very similar to the first film, but I could be mistaken. But I need to pick that one up as well, just so I can have all of them. But none of them top these first. Top these first 4 films in the franchise. I love those first 4 movies, and In the Hood is actually really fun too. So that's why I said earlier, if you can just find this one and you just want to own the movies and just watch them and see what they're about, this one is perfectly fine. Like I said, you can probably come across this really cheap, and it's not a bad buy. I do recommend this for sure. You get those first 4 movies, which are the best ones in my opinion. Don't sleep on that one if you can get it. But if you want to spare a little bit extra cash and get this nice looking box set, which looks looks really good on the shelf. You know, definitely pick this up if you are a physical media person. I think the only kind of downside to these is I think most of these are full screen, which is not a deal breaker for me. I don't mind certain things in full screen if that's the only way I can watch it, but I think that's kind of the only negative to this. And of course, it doesn't really have any special features from what I recall. You know, it's a small price to be paid. Like I said, I did not pay very much for this. So if I had paid, you know, $100 for this, I would have been kind of bummed. But I mean, for 13 bucks, I'm not going to complain, and I'm just happy to have this in my collection. So that is the overview of the Leprechaun Pot of Gore collection. I just kind of wanted to talk about it briefly and show my appreciation for this particular release and the franchise as a whole. I will be talking about the actual films. Like I said, I'll probably do that next year. I just didn't really have time to get out another review. And I love DVD box sets. I've got a lot of Blu-ray box sets. I mean, not a lot, but I've got a few Blu-ray box sets as well that I really enjoy and I love a lot. But there's just something about a DVD box set that I just really gets me going, you know what I mean? Maybe it's because I grew up with these and knowing about these a lot more and was not able to get them. So now that I can finally get them and hold them in my hand, like when I finally got this and was actually opened the box and held it in my hand, it was just a wave of just happiness and joy and something that I've felt like I've been missing out on for a long time. So love this box set. Love it to death. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to do more stuff like this and talk about actual pieces of my collection because I really like looking at them and touching them and playing with them and all that good stuff. So I hope everyone has a great St. Patrick's Day. I'm definitely going to be putting on the first Leprechaun right after this video is done. And I plan to kind of go through the films and just watch them just for my casual enjoyment. So like I said, next year I promise we will talk about Leprechaun, or maybe sooner. I don't know. We'll just see kind of how the land lays. So anyway, have a happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, have a great night and goodbye.